Following a year of mixed animal practice, Dr. Johnson completed his anatomic pathology residency and PhD at North Carolina State University, and he's a diplomat of the American College of Veterinary Pathologists. Calvin served as a faculty member here at the College of Veterinary Medicine for 11 years in what was then the Department of Pathobiology, including several years as the associate chair of that department. For the past 10 years, he's been out at Auburn University, primarily as a department head and professor of pathology in the Department of Pathobiology. Most recently, he served 15 months as the acting dean at Auburn University's College of Veterinary Medicine. His laboratory investigates the pathogenesis of FIV infection of domestic cats, and his clinical research interests include immunopathology, infectious diseases, and lymphoma. So without further ado, Dr. Calvin Johnson.
It is so good for me to be able to be here today. It's really an honor and a privilege for me to return to the University of Florida and to be a part of this search and to have the opportunity to move forward in this search process. I would just say that University of Florida means a tremendous amount to me. It facilitated my professional success. I'm not a graduate of the university, but I came in to the university at a time where I had an opportunity to grow as a faculty member, as a researcher, as a pathologist, and to really understand what it takes for an institution, for a College of Veterinary Medicine, to be highly successful and to integrate into all the other programs that are on this great campus. This campus has changed dramatically in 10 years. And all of the opportunities that are here to support veterinary medicine in its broadest sense. I think that's the key for our profession now, is to consider veterinary medicine in a very global perspective. And that meaning clinical practice is obviously always going to be a cornerstone of our activities, but we have great opportunities to pursue research and to pursue public health and to integrate into areas where veterinarians have never even been considered as being players. I think that's how our profession grows. That's how our college will thrive. And University of Florida is very well positioned to make that transition over the next 25, 50 years to really be truly established as a leader in that breadth of veterinary medicine. And I consider veterinary medicine to include veterinarians, biomedical researchers, and researchers who are studying infectious agents and the basic biology, all of that expertise that comes in to animal health and disease and how it benefits human health and also how that relates to the environment. So thank you for this opportunity. So I just want to give you a few images of my perspective. This is my first 10 years as a faculty member. I happen to be here at the college. And I came into a time of the college that was extremely supportive of what I was trying to do, and that was to develop a comparative pathology program. And that program focused on the pathogenesis of feline immunodeficiency virus. And at that time, in the early 90s, Ayalu Murgia, Jenny Yamamoto were recruited into the college, and there was already strength in the College of Medicine, HIV research. And that was just a perfect crucible to develop a career. And I had excellent department leadership, Bill Castle, John Dane, who facilitated and made sure that a faculty assignment matched what a faculty member was asked to do. And that type of support I've come to appreciate greatly as I've become more of an administrator and moved along from faculty service, that I really want to work in a College of Veterinary Medicine where I can facilitate the faculty-student success. And it's critically important that we have staff that support that mission as well. So I immerse myself in data and collection of data, analysis of data, and trying to establish meaning and searching for funding, publishing, And the Florida environment supported that greatly. And serving as a diagnostic pathologist and having mentors that could talk to you and sit down with you, mentorship is crucial in this college. It's crucial for every single student that comes in the door, every graduate student, every veterinary student, that they establish a relationship with the faculty and they know that they have a contact to count on in their career pursuits. So I moved to Auburn in 2003, and very soon I assumed the position of department head in the Department of Pathobiology. And at that transition, I realized what it takes to create an environment where faculty and students can succeed. And it requires a lot of balance, a lot of listening, a lot of engagement, knowing every face in the crowd, knowing what they do, and knowing how they fit together. If you do that and you understand the program and everybody's on the same page on the strategic plan and where we want to be heading, we'll be successful. I learned about engaging alumni and friends of the college and dreaming about buildings and programs and aspects of the program that our stakeholders would like to see. And so we develop visions, and we make those visions become reality. And that is exciting for an administrator to see a faculty-generated vision become facilitated to the point that there's a hole in the ground and the steel comes and concrete comes up. We've seen that here. It's very motivating, stimulating. Facilities here are excellent. And good facilities have to have high-quality programs. One supports the other. And Florida's in a great position to continue to move forward. When I was acting dean, I had the distinct privilege of serving as the primary point of contact and preparer of the AVMA accreditation self-study and site visit. This is a very long and tedious process. It relies very heavily on your associate dean for students and instruction because the data that the AVMA are interested in are generated as it relates to veterinary medical education. Now, research is extremely important, and particularly how veterinary students are integrated into research, which UF has a good track record of doing that, of bringing students in and introducing them to research. All these are important. Facilities are important. Management of the curriculum is crucial. Making sure that you know where a topic is being covered within the curriculum, making sure that you know that assessment data that are collected, if there's a deficiency, it feeds back into the map of the curriculum, and then that area of the map is corrected. Those interrelationships are the types of things the AVMA is looking for. And I was very happy to receive notification on October 21st, Halloween. I'm not sure why it happened to be Halloween, but anyway, that we were fully accredited. We met all 11 standards. And I understand that the University of Florida, CVM, in 2014, will be having us every 7-year accreditation site visit. So this document will need to be prepared for the college, describing it in detail. And then the program will be placed out for review. I have no doubts whatsoever that the college will be successful. Here are just a few of the things that I really enjoyed while serving as acting dean. These were some initiatives that came along, and I've been extremely fortunate to be able to be in a position where I've been able to move into administrative roles and have opportunities to grow and become a leader of the college or a leader of a department. And this is just a classic example. I moved in as acting dean when our official dean, Tim Businger, became interim provost for the whole university. Now, over the course of time, that 12-month period, he eventually became the provost, and so that then vacated the dean's position, and I've stepped down, so I'm no longer acting dean. I'm now back to being department head. But while I was dean, I was very interested and excited about our ability to integrate information technology into the classroom. I didn't do this myself, but I facilitated the information technology group on campus and in our college to make it happen. Every student has a tablet computer. It's connected via the wireless internet to download notes. They take notes, it's saved for archiving, and those students view those lectures in real and in an archived fashion at home. And this turns out to be an extremely valuable way to inventory what you're teaching the students, because it saves every PowerPoint that's ever been presented to a student in the college, and it allows you to search it. So if you're interested in Brucella abortus, you type that term in, and it shows you how many times over the course of their curriculum they have been exposed to a PowerPoint presentation that addresses that. So it's very valuable as a mapping tool. We thought that if we implemented this, the students would quit coming to class. Found out that's not the case at all. The best students go to class, view this, and view it at home, and watch it many times before that final exam. I've supported the faculty in some initiatives. I like being able to tell the faculty yes, when they have a great idea, a particular idea that does not require a significant investment of resources of dollars, to be able to have them host a communications seminar and invite colleagues from Tuskegee University and practitioners in the area to come in and participate in this activity and bring in a prominent lecturer on that topic. We had a summer institute this summer to address how we teach veterinary students, and considering the NAVNet competencies that have come out, how we incorporate the teaching of those competencies into the curriculum. And so we had a breakdown session. We had an extensive IT presence in that meeting where we talked about information and instructional technology that was available the faculty simply don't have time to know about. But if they have a couple of hours to go to a presentation by an IT specialist and say, hey, you know, you could be doing this asynchronously with just a push of a button and offering this class to thousands of people, that type of thing is how the curriculum will evolve to meet the needs of the next century. I've cooperated extensively with our State Diagnostic Laboratory, which is a separate entity from the university, similar to the situation in Florida. And we brought in the leaders of the state lab with the leaders of the college and developed a program where our students began to see these primary cases that were coming into the State Diagnostic Lab that were extremely valuable and representative of the cases that they would see as a practitioner in the state, to come in and see those and to understand them and understand how research plays in to controlling those diseases and so forth. That was a step forward. To support research in any number of ways. Bridge funding, supporting the Associate Dean for Research in identifying resources that will allow faculty members to pursue an initiative. That is an extremely important role of a dean in the College of Veterinary Medicine. And at Auburn, there is no College of Medicine, and the health sciences are really not coordinated. So I was asked to chair a task force at the university level to bring the health sciences together and to identify strengths. We would never be a comprehensive health science center, but we had areas of very focused expertise and excellence that could be packaged in a way that we could then be more competitive for resources at a federal level. And so we're at the stage now of organizing, of bringing the faculty to the table and showing them that participating in this is not just an exercise, but it's actually a beneficial opportunity to build and to create new opportunities in response to federal needs. And finally, accreditation by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. The college had this responsibility to make sure that we were meeting the credentials and the criteria for this recertification or reaccreditation. And that meant making sure that faculty that are teaching a class had the appropriate credentials, appropriate degrees and training to be teaching that class. And also to develop projects that indicate that the university is committed to improving quality of education. So that process is going well. We've submitted the paperwork and we'll have a visit in the spring. This is a graph that I wanted to share with you. if you're like my institution, a lot of people focus on the U.S. News and World Report rankings, and they bring it up and they explain, why are we not top 10 or top 5? I thought we were. And so I decided I was going to try to understand this ranking system, to understand why certain institutions are ranked extremely high and others that I know are doing very well according to their mission, not so high. And so I looked at 12 different groups of data to try to pinpoint what were the commonalities between those schools that were in the top 5 as opposed to everything else. So these are graphs trying to show in parallel various aspects of data, or various components of data that we collect, such as teaching hospital sales. It turns out these bars on the right that are in yellow are those that are in the top 10 in the U.S. News and World Report and are ranked according to the amount of sales in the hospital. Turns out having a viable, active, economically engaging, strong research teaching hospital that generates revenue is highly linked to the success of the college as recognized by the U.S. News and World Report survey. Research expenditures, clearly, the yellow is to the right, so those performance factors are associated with high ranking. State appropriations are closely correlated. Total expenditures of the college, so large programs that do a lot of research and they're supported by the state tend to be those that are recognized. Faculty numbers, high numbers of faculty equals recognition, and the number of graduate students and postdocs in the program, which is a reflection of the research capacity of the institution, was very highly ranked with these schools that were recognized as being in the top 10. So I thought it was very revealing, and I thought it gives us a good map to follow, that if this is a goal that we intend to pursue, to be recognized nationally as a top-tier College of Veterinary Medicine, to look at some of these common features of those that are. So it puts us on a precipice, on a point, to really evaluate the landscape. And some people would look at this as a cliff. We hear an awful lot about cliffs these days. Surely that cliff problem will be resolved before the critical date. But nonetheless, it's a matter of perspective. Is it a cliff that we're going to plunge off of, or is it a precipice that we're going to enjoy the route and the pathway that it took to get us there? And I would claim that the University of Florida College of Veterinary Medicine is in a very good position to stand and admire the peak, to negotiate, to survive on the rocky crags, but to be in a position to thrive when resources, once again, are readily available. Why? Because we're a land-grant institution. We have a commitment to teaching, to research, and to extending that research information to the public. We have a commitment to the public of this state and to the region to provide higher education in an affordable fashion. And that's a point of very intense discussion right now in our profession. Cost of education, those costs being transferred to students, student debt load, and then how that relates to starting salaries. A very important component of our role in the College of Veterinary Medicine. University of Florida is an Association for American Universities member. It's a very distinguished designation, one of 62 universities nationwide that are recognized for their commitment to research and for creating the infrastructure that makes that research successful. So that, coupled with a land-grant mission, gives us just a critical mission, a critical responsibility to have research drive our success and our movement up the levels of recognition as a College of Veterinary Medicine. Not to mention the two very important legs that support the College of Veterinary Medicine, that being the UF and Shands Academic Health Center and the IFAS Institute, Those two components, which give us a firm foundation in agriculture and the environment, two areas that are very important in our mission, and then also the vast opportunities in health sciences and integrating and biomedical sciences and understanding the etiology and the pathogenesis of disease. So I think the University of Florida should feel that we are in a position to capitalize. We have to be very careful. I think we would have to be searching for resources, but to put those resources in a strategic way to those areas that have the high likelihood for success and are consistent with our mission. From the outside looking in, the brand of the College of Veterinary Medicine at the University of Florida is very strong. Your veterinary students, since some students are here, are known for being competent day one in practice. They're known for being able to hit the ground running and to be able to communicate and collaborate and to order appropriate tests and to be able to advise owners and communicate in a very effective way. They're experienced in diverse career paths. The veterinary students here at Florida are given the opportunity to pursue research in the veterinary curriculum as a course, as a required course, at least when I was here. And then also given the Mariel Fellowship opportunities in the summers to pursue that and to create a greater awareness of research opportunities. Those are tremendous ways to stimulate students to enter diverse career paths. Florida has a vibrant spirit of discovery and scholarship. It's valued to be able to recognize feline immunodeficiency virus, identify and develop a new vaccine, canine influenza virus as being an agent that was discovered, and then the vaccine was developed here as well. And I could go on and on. The various viral diseases of snakes, the boa inclusion disease is one that was being developed and worked on while I was here. Exciting discovery and innovation that is not universal at other colleges. So there's a spirit of unlimited potential. The University of Florida believes in itself. The citizens of the state see it as the flagship institution, and they are behind the mission 100%. And that mission extends internationally, and there are so many opportunities to broaden our scope at an international level. So my strategy would be, first, to unify the faculty around a strategic plan. It seems so simple, and strategic planning doesn't always stimulate a lot of enthusiasm, but it's important that everyone be on the same page of where we're trying to go. And the direction that the college would need to head, needs to be consistent with where the university is heading, and where the Health Science Center is heading, and where ICUS is heading. This needs to be not an island, but a series of adjoined ventures that come together into a common purpose. We need to constantly, in a dean's capacity, advocate for and expand college resources. In a large university such as Florida, it's so important that a dean be at the table every time there's a discussion of resource allocation to make sure that the decision makers know the impact and the importance of what we're doing, and to understand the systems that derive the numbers that we live by in terms of budget allocation. And the RCM modeling for the budget here, understanding that is no simple task, and implementing, I think, apparently has been even more difficult and somewhat unpredictable. And I think it's just critical that a dean be engaged at every opportunity in that discussion. I think communication is really the building block of everything we do. And it's important to communicate not just successes, but also failures, to figure out how, when we are in the same situation again, that we avoid the past problems, and we move forward and we correct them. Balance is a term that I'll use a lot in describing my leadership style. We need to balance instruction, research, outreach, and patient care. it needs to be balanced according to the mission of the small unit that's part of the larger college unit. So there are areas where instruction is absolutely essential and should not be jeopardized at any cost. And there are areas where revenue generation is crucial and should not be jeopardized at the expense of other missions. But as a college, we need to establish balance to make sure that we're moving forward and that we're recognized as being strong in each of these 4 areas of work. And this work is not done by a single person. It's done by a team of leaders and a team of very dedicated and skilled faculty and department heads and associate deans. And the team functions much better than individuals are going to function alone. And that is, it's comforting, but it's also just the fact that that's how this institution has gotten where it is now and how it will continue to grow. So my record of academic service, I've been on academic faculty for 22 years, 2 at North Carolina State as a clinical resident, and they call it faculty, but I'm not sure that's truly a faculty position, but I'll claim it. 11 years at the University of Florida. Again, the scholarship emphasis and the academic engagement were powerful motivators and drivers of productivity and success. And then I've been at Auburn for 9 years. 7 years as department head of pathobiology, which is the equivalent of the infectious disease and pathology department here at Florida. And then 15 months as acting dean. So my department has 32 faculty, 60 staff, 17 graduate students. Has about a $5.5 million annual budget and has about $5 million of extramural funding. I've been very engaged in faculty development, the importance of recruiting the best faculty that can possibly be recruited and to ensuring their success. And their success is measured by promotion, tenure, and retention. And I'm very much committed to that and to giving them an environment where they feel that what they're being asked to do and what they are doing match. My department hosts 3 university core laboratories, flow cytometry, transmission electron microscopy, and transgenic mouse core facilities. So you can see the distribution of core facilities at Auburn University is very different than it is at the University of Florida, where these would be centered in probably the ICDR, but much more centrally managed. And 3 managed residency programs, clinical pathology, anatomic pathology, and microbiology are housed in my department. So as acting dean, I served as the chair of the college's executive committee, which includes the department heads, the associate deans, the hospital director, the IT director, and the laboratory animal health director, and then the college communications officer and business manager. So that group is very much involved in decision making with the input from the faculty council and the faculty senate. The college's faculty senate has representation on the executive committee, and so that's how we share governance between the faculty and the college in making decisions. The college has a $57 million annual budget, which is almost identical to Florida's annual budget. Last year was a good year for development. We had $17.5 million brought into the college. 10 of that was a naming gift for our small animal hospital, and then the $7.5 million was related to program support. And I enjoy being active in that, going out and engaging our alumni, our friends, telling them about what's going on in the college and getting them excited about it. When they get excited about it, they want to know how they can help, and when you hear that, you've got great potential to work with your development team to make that a reality. Auburn is starting construction of a $74 million, 240,000 square foot project. This is an educational building that has 3 classrooms that are large for seating 150 students each, and then a new small animal hospital. That project is about halfway completed, and I was involved in so many of the decisions related to equipping that hospital and obviously identifying the resources that it takes to operate a facility of that size. A problem which is an ongoing discussion on how to match the operations with the facilities. But very exciting and very good opportunity to experience that component of a college's growth. And I've already discussed ADM accreditation and SACS accreditation. The University Senate at Auburn evaluates deans and their performance, and this survey goes out, and so these numbers reflect how the faculty felt about my performance as acting dean. Now, I'll acknowledge that being an acting dean and being a full-time dean are two very different things. Being an acting dean means that you're staying on course with what the former dean was doing and trying to keep the momentum going and keeping everything on track. Being a full-time dean is creating and establishing a buy-in, creating a common shared plan, a mission, and garnering the resources that it takes to make that happen, and the enthusiasm of faculty and staff to make that happen. I've very much enjoyed being nationally engaged in discussions that the profession is engaging in relative to the economic challenges of the profession. That being student debt, approaching on the average $152,000 for a graduate now, a graduate that has debt. And then the starting salaries, which are about $64,000 per year on the average. Trying to reconcile that with the cost of educating a veterinary student and the fact that colleges must generate revenue in order to operate. And we must operate not at a basal level, but at an exceptional level. And those two priorities don't always meet evenly in the middle. And so there has to be a balance, a medium that we seek in doing that. In all this discussion of debt and crisis and cliffs and everything, I think it's really important that we realize that this is an incredibly exciting profession, and we want our students to know that they have made a great choice in pursuing veterinary medicine. And veterinary medicine is so much broader than they might ever have imagined, and to open their eyes and see all the various opportunities that are there, and know that we're behind them and that we're going to see that they are placed in a position of success upon graduation. So I like being upbeat about our profession. We need to be, and there's good justification for being there, but we also need to tackle some of these challenges that confront us. I facilitated international engagement. We had 20 faculty exchanges internationally, mostly in Central and South America. I thoroughly enjoyed engaging our stakeholders, our Cattlemen Association, the poultry and egg component of the agricultural industry, the Alabama Veterinary Medical Association, the equivalent would be, of course, the Florida VMA. We need to be very close to those organizations. They are our ability to be politically engaged. They're our ability to connect with individuals out in the field to know what their needs are and to help them in their perceptions of our college. And by generating revenue through tuition, we have used that model to promote faculty hiring. And so in the 15 months that I was in the dean's office, we initiated or completed 17 faculty hires. And I've noticed that the college here has also been very actively engaged in hiring, particularly in the clinical track and in the research track. So I believe in the value of a leadership team, a balanced resource allocation based on the college's missions and strengths, and that's a shared mission. I believe that a leader needs to be a good technical leader and also a responsive person. So it's important to realize that there are two components to strong leadership. You need to know the faculty and listen to them. There needs to be an absolute, I did not do that, I promise. Relentless pursuit of quality. Whether it's writing a memo, whether it's putting out a grant, writing a paper, giving discharge instructions to a client. There needs to be a commitment across the board to the best possible quality that can be achieved. And that goes a long way in moving up in recognition. I believe that we need to be inclusive of ideas and of ethnic, racial inclusiveness, accountability, trust, and building a sense of integrity. That's all done through communication and being consistent in what's being communicated. So my vision for the college would be that the University College of Veterinary Medicine will emerge as a global leader in education, veterinary graduate, postgraduate, and public discovery and innovation. I think we would all write that vision statement. Here's how I think there are some areas that I think we could achieve that. By being the academic home for faculty and graduates whose expertise is in very high demand, both nationally and internationally. By being recognized as a resource cluster for at least 5 areas where we think we are particularly strong, and driving that. And you have some excellent examples of that here. You know, I look at the aquatics program. I look at Maddie's shelter medicine program as programs that are emerging as national centers of excellence very clearly. And there are so many more opportunities there to pursue. And an international model for colleges of veterinary medicine in the One Health and environmental health education and research. We are sitting here on this campus in a position where veterinary medicine can engage in this ill-defined component of veterinary medicine known as environmental health to establish tracks where veterinarians can have a significant role and become employed and have really good jobs. And I think that can develop right here at Florida. So the team is an engaged, productive faculty, a talented and highly committed staff, and highly qualified students. The home field advantage is exceptional physical facilities. We see those here. Outstanding hospitals and hospital services. Everything we do being health-focused in the broadest possible sense, and that is integrating into the Health Science Center, and also focusing on diseases that are important to agricultural communities and the environment, and the emergence of new diseases. So I have 7 steps that I'll close with that I believe that would be a viable plan to follow. Does it add up to 7?
7-step plan.
7-step plan? Okay. Point 1, engage partners. We have so many partners here on the CVM, the University of Florida campus, that we can engage. And I've studied the web extensively, and whoever's involved in doing the web does a great job because it's extremely current and valuable in trying to get a feel for what's going on in college and at the university. So many opportunities to engage. We need to focus on delivering a superior, cost-effective veterinary education. And to do that, we need to centrally manage the curriculum. The curriculum belongs to the faculty. There's no doubt about that. It is the faculty's curriculum, but it has to have a management process that oversees it and sees that where areas of need are existing, that those areas of need are covered, and then we reassess and make sure that it has been corrected. It needs to be dynamic, changing in order to match the needs of the students, but also to be very efficient in using faculty time. Mapping the curriculum is important. It's a time-consuming process, and I understand that you're in the midst of developing a plan to map your curriculum. But that's very important in being able to understand just the breadth of what's being taught and determining are there gaps that might need to be addressed. I think we should look at integrating graduate and veterinary courses where appropriate, so that a student that graduates with a veterinary degree can have a head start on moving toward a graduate degree. Try to facilitate the transition from veterinary school to graduate school for those students that are interested in research. We need to streamline veterinary training, look at our prerequisite courses, determine if we are expecting too much out of the pre-veterinary curriculum or too little, to try to reduce the number of years that a student is in the program from start to finish, thereby addressing issues of student debt. Classroom technology is constantly changing, and the college needs to focus on opportunities to continually upgrade IT and distribution and distance education opportunities in the curriculum. We need to expand research. We always need to expand research, and so this is nothing new. I believe that a college of this size and with the resources that surround us and that are within us, that we should have 50 faculty with at least a 0.5 FTE, a research assignment. I think that there has to be a critical mass of people that are focused on research activities in order to be able to move forward to the level that we would like to be. And I think that should be about a $20 million per year goal for the college. It's very difficult right now to do that, and funding is tight, and if we're talking about budget sequestration, all that's off the table, but we have to survive and we have to be ready to thrive when the opportunities re-emerge. And I think we need to always focus on scholarship. 300 peer-reviewed publications per year coming out of a college that is approaching 150 faculty is an appropriate goal. Publications do vary. I realize that we have flat case reports and we have detailed research studies, but let's look at them as a group and as a peer-reviewed body of work. Strategic research hiring, to be able to partner with an institute to share the salary of a faculty member in order to expand our research faculty is just a great opportunity. It's an opportunity that's fairly unique to our situation here at Florida, and one that I think we could really capitalize on to build our faculty numbers. There needs to be a pool of resources available at the college to allow faculty to pursue new interests and new initiatives, those that have an RFA that's pending to be issued, to give them the chance to get a head start and to be competitive in research and to move in a direction that's likely to be sustainable in the coming years. If we grow research, we need to grow graduate education and residency program. And I think graduate students need to be trained in an interdisciplinary environment, one that has a coordinated entry process, that they have a core curriculum early in the process that's unique, that's common to all biomedical graduate students, but then give them the opportunity to diverge out into department or college-centered programs after they've had this common coming together in a shared program. In our residency training, we need to strive through our hospital functions to be nationally recognized as premier training centers as well as premier clinical service delivery points. Faculty mentorship, one-on-one mentorship is so critical in residency training to make sure that faculty are recognized that time invested in resident training is teaching, it's intensive teaching. It's very important and it's critical to our reputation as those individuals go on and perhaps to make a transition from a residency into an academic faculty appointment. Every service that comes out of the college needs to have value. Value to the stakeholder, to the client, to the producers, whether it's aquatic, equine, beef, dairy, those critical components of the college's outreach mission. The Maddie Shelter Medicine Program, a good example of outreach, reaching out through distance ed to offer courses to a huge number of interested students through this very unique resource that we have in the college. Promoting shared governance. I believe very strongly that the faculty need to be the source and the evolution point of new ideas, and those ideas need to be facilitated by the administration so that they help us meet the mission of the college. So we need to have a culture of engagement, trust, and cohesiveness. Our processes, the way we do business needs to be transparent and well-defined. There need to be SOPs published somewhere that show a person that's new to the campus how things are done. That helps us build consensus and buy-in as a single unit moving in one direction. After we see consensus, there needs to be a decisive decision made, and that decision needs to be well articulated. And there will be people opposed, there will be people in favor, but there needs to be enough cohesiveness in the group that we know that we all had our opportunity to have a say, and that the outcome was a decision that we now all buy into 100%. And then, if we do that, depending on the outcome. If it's successful, let's share it. If it's a failure, we'll share it and we'll regroup and start again. And finally, developing a culture of giving. Development is an area of the Dean's activities that I very much enjoy. I think by developing a group of people who give annually, that would be the Dean's Club, the Circle of Excellence here, and people who give on a regular basis, that sets up our college to get planned gifts and to get larger gifts, and as people start to see that they're part of the opportunity to build this institution to where it can go. This is my family. My son, Gardner on the left, was born in Gainesville 2 months after I arrived. My daughter Frances, pharmacy student at Auburn. My son is a civil engineering student at Auburn. My wife Mary and me. They're very excited about the Gainesville opportunity, and I'm excited about it. And I thank you very much for listening and for giving me the opportunity to talk to you today. Thanks.
Everybody that we're recording, so if you have a question, I'll bring the microphone.
Johnson, I'm curious about one of the things that you mentioned regarding trying to encourage residents to pursue careers in academia. One of the problems that we have encountered over the last several years is maybe it's a function of the pace of the residency program, or maybe it's just the interest of the individual. But even though they come in saying that they want to pursue graduate degrees and pursue careers in academia, in the end, it actually doesn't unfold that way. Is this something that personally I'm experiencing, or do you see this as a scenario that plays out in other colleges?
Well, as I've looked at other colleges, I see very marked differences in residency programs. And I can give good illustrations of two extremes. The residency program at the University of Florida is not associated with the graduate program. And it's a very intensive residency training opportunity experience designed to train a person for board certification. And that's great. If that's the intent of the program, Florida is doing a great job with that across the board. The other extreme is the residency program at Auburn that I'm very much involved with, and that is one that is, by definition, a component of the graduate program. Every resident is a graduate student. So they take time out from their rounds and from their patient treatment and from their client interactions to go to classes and to initiate research projects. And some residents love that. They like the opportunity to be able to learn about immunology in depth or biostatistics and to develop a research portfolio. Others don't. They want to become board certified. They want to go into specialty practice and practice their trade. So I think if we're trying to build the next generation of academicians, there needs to be a linkage somehow with the graduate programs, maybe an optional linkage with the graduate program. And it needs to be one that everybody understands that one resident who's strictly in the residency program is going to be performing at a different level in terms of time commitment to responsibilities in the residency program than one that is dividing their time between research and residency training. So there's not a good answer to that. But I think residents also need to see that faculty positions are appealing jobs to have. And they look around and they see the stress and the being pulled in so many directions that sometimes we wonder, is this a career that I'm interested in pursuing? And I think it's critical that we have enough faculty on staff to make that a great opportunity that our residents would see as something they want to work toward. And that's probably part of it too.
Thank you.
Okay.
You had a fairly comprehensive presentation, so I think you probably covered this to some extent, but you, certainly among the dean candidates, you have the unique perspective of having lived in this environment for many years. And while you emphasize the importance of balance and a balanced program, if you look at over the last 20 years or a little less than that, the area where the University of Florida College of Veterinary Medicine has probably underperformed relative to its potential, which you very clearly recognize, has been in the area of research program development. And I think several of the other deans have pointed out where we stand as how we're perceived as standing on research, whether that's accurate is another question. But as dean, what do you see as the most important things that a dean can do to move the University of Florida College of Veterinary Medicine forward in that area? You mentioned many of those in your presentation, but there have been many people who have seen the potential here, but we just really haven't realized it for a variety of different reasons, most of them relating to funding, but you have to get beyond that.
Right. Well, you know, research, being productive in research is a culture, and it's a culture that's not driven from top down, and it's not sustainable from faculty level to administration. So the administration has to be fully committed to building a research enterprise or initiative. And that means resources. It means hiring people into areas of research where they can partner and be part of a group and allow that group then to develop and to give them the time and the financial resources and the infrastructure to be successful. And resources are limited, and I know we will never get to the point where resources are fully adequate that we can have an open checkbook, if you will, to support any of our missions. But I think research has to be an extremely high priority on, equivalent with education and teaching, instruction, of the ability of this college to move to a level that is clearly nationally recognized as one of the top 5 colleges of veterinary medicine. I think we have the blocks in place. I think the resources need to be allocated to support research.
Dr. Johnson, that was a really good presentation. I enjoyed it very much. As a dean, you always like to be looking forward, obviously, to the potential growth and expansion in the college, but as a state institution, you're often faced with the opposite of that in terms of state support eroding. Just philosophically, how do you approach that or think about that as a dean at times when support is being eroded and we're being forced really to rely on other means to just sustain ourselves rather than grow?
Yeah, I think that question kind of brings up a very important point to discuss, and that is, as state resources decline, how does the college continue to thrive? And the way almost every college of veterinary medicine has done that and addressed that is by increasing enrollment and then somehow brokering a return of those additional dollars back to the college to support the program. So the problem with that is, if those resources are used in a way that does not support the teaching mission of the school, then you're overloading faculty with teaching responsibilities, taking them away from their assignment to do research. And if they have a very limited assignment, that time is extremely valuable. They now are needing to teach an extra 40 students. So there has to be an understanding, we just talked about resource allocation with research, but you also have to allocate resources to the areas in which they're being generated to support and to validate using that strategy to build the budget. So there's no clear answer to that, and it's again a balance issue. But achieving balance means realizing that we're here to train veterinary students to become excellent veterinarians. We're here to train graduate students to be excellent biomedical scientists. We're here to advance the understanding of science. and to disseminate knowledge. So it's a discussion that the faculty has to be involved in. And it's a difficult time to have enough maneuvering room to really implement a strategy because resources are so limited right now. But I think the college here at Florida does have resources that it can use to position itself to be ready to grow when those opportunities are ready.
Hi, Dr. Johnson. I just had a question about your U.S. News and World Report
Yes.
graphs. One of the things I didn't see in there was looking at the ratio of tenure track to clinical track faculty, because that's something we've had a discussion about a couple of times
Right.
since I joined the faculty. How do you see that ratio, as playing out? What do you see as an appropriate ratio? And do you have any sense from other veterinary schools of how that ratio is in terms of those that are performing well versus those that are lower in the rankings?
Right. So I think every university is moving toward having a greater proportion of faculty being non-tenure track because tenure track positions have simply not been able to be refilled when they vacated in many cases. And so that's how the budget has been reduced. So when resources are available then to allocate to clinical services or to instruction or to research, then that person then becomes a research track or a clinical track appointment. I think it's important to realize that if a person is appointed in a clinical track, that they're appointed primarily to do one thing, that's clinical activities, which we know has a significant teaching component. So do you ask those people to also serve on the admissions committee and to collaborate on a research project? I think what happens is we have clinical track and research track people who are drawn in to the tenure track philosophy of contributing and showing excellence in two areas. So I think it's important to look at the non-tenure track faculty positions, the clinical research track, and say, is their salary structure equivalent to a tenure track appointment? It needs to be, because the amount of work that they're doing in their one focused discipline is high, and if they're doing a great job, then they deserve merit raises and so forth. And so I think it's important to define what we're asking people to do, and then evaluate them on what we're asking them to do, and then constantly seek ways to make sure that our faculty are all at the same level in terms of recognition. So I don't know, did that address it?
Mostly. Do you have any sense from other veterinary schools whether that ratio of tenure track to non-tenure track is associated in any way with the U.S. News and World Report ranking or that sort of thing?
Those data are available. I did not analyze it. It would be interesting to look at that.
Any more questions? Thank you very much.